Hey there, and welcome to the Big Apple School podcast. My name's Sam,
And this is Ken.
and today we're going to ask, what's the crack about?
School!
School!
Yeah! Are you excited?
Absolutely.
I can tell.
I'm always excited, Ken. Always excited. So, what are we going to talk about, Ken? What kind of questions are we going to ask? Tell the good people.
Well, we're going to talk about our personal experiences about school and maybe some advice that we can share.
Yeah, absolutely.
At the end of the episode.
Some strange teachers, maybe.
Right.
Our favorite subjects. All kinds of great stuff like that.
And with that said, let me begin with my first question.
Oh, yeah. Here we go. I'm hyped.
How do schools work in your country? I mean, like, when do you start? Do you have primary and secondary schools?
It's a little bit different than in Russia and maybe other countries. We start the September after our 4th birthday. But like the first year, 2, 3 are really kind of, how would I say, a lot like детский сад, a lot like nursery or kindergarten. But we start when we're 4.5, 5. And we go for a full 12 years.
Wow.
7 years in primary school. Начальная школа. Yeah. Something like that. And then secondary school for 5 years. In my town, it's split up. The secondary school is, you have, let me see, it was 3 years in one building, one school, and then 2 years in another school.
Oh, okay.
But essentially it's the same thing anyway. It's senior high school, junior high school, junior high school, senior high school, but it was the same thing. High school anyway.
Well, okay.
What about in the Philippines?
Kind of similar right now.
Or in Thailand?
No, Philippines, of course.
You live in the Philippines. You're from the Philippines.
We have the K-12 system, which is basically kindergarten, and then the 1st to the 12th grade.
You speak German?
No.
Kindergarten? I mean, I'm joking.
And before, it used to be like we start school in June, but now we're following the Western system. So now it's like
June,
sometime in September.
Yeah.
And before it used to be like we only had 2 months off for our like holiday or break from school, but now it's getting more and more like the Western, school system.
Yeah?
Yeah.
How many months?
Some schools are beginning to have, for example, like 3 months of break.
Right, yeah.
So, yeah.
It was great for me. I think I had 2 months. 2 months in Northern Ireland. But in England, I think they only get 6 weeks.
Oh.
A month and a half.
Oh, that's much shorter.
If I remember correctly. Never studied there, of course. But yeah, it's more in Northern Ireland, so we're lucky compared to English students.
Well, I guess it's good for you then.
Yeah. Not good for my mom. She was like, when are you going back to school, son? And I was like, I'm bored, Mom. There's nothing on TV.
I have to say so, like in my case, when I was at school, summer holidays they were kind of boring because, unlike the generation today where, there are a lot of activities to do.
Spit out the bricks.
You're right. And back in the day, the internet wasn't that popular yet. And I don't think everyone has the access. So, including, myself. So, it was kind of boring, and I was always looking forward to going back to school.
I grew up without the internet, Ken. Can you imagine? Kids today wouldn't understand.
I can imagine that.
Growing up without the internet.
Knowing how old you are, yes.
Oh, thank you. You always make me feel better, Ken.
Yeah, I know.
Shall I ask you the next question, Ken?
Go ahead.
Did I catch how many years then do you study?
So that's including kindergarten. That's like 13.
13. So that's a bit longer, yeah. I mean, we can go like when you finish school, 16, you can go straight on, do 2 more years in school, A levels they're called, and then you can go to university. So, but people decide to do that, and other people don't. It's really up to them.
So it's their choice, yeah.
Yeah. What was your school experience like? Did you like it overall? What were you like as a student? And did you get picked on?
Interesting. I have to say though that when I was in primary school, I wasn't really exactly a very good student. I was kind of lazy. I didn't do my homework. And back in the 90s, in the Philippines, corporal punishments were allowed. So
Not
basically,
capital.
no, if you didn't do your homework, the teacher can, strike you with how do you call that, rattan cane or yardstick across your buttocks.
I got a bit of that.
Or
not
on your
bum.
hands.
Not on my bum, but yeah.
But well, unfortunately for me, I was able to experience it.
Yeah.
And some teachers, they would pinch students.
Really?
Yeah, and it was awful.
Yeah.
So regardless of which part of your body. So if you're unlucky on that day, then you could be punished. But I have to say though that after that, when I went to high school or secondary school, I think I fared better because this time I was more serious. I was under the guidance of my grandmother, and things just changed 160 degrees. I mean, I was totally, I did all my homework. I was very responsible. And, forgive me for saying this. I'd say I was a favorite student. I mean, I was kind of a teacher's pet. I mean,
and
all
now
teachers kind of...
We don't think that's a bad thing now as a teacher, right?
But
when we were in school, maybe, yeah.
Other students, they didn't necessarily like me because I don't know, like...
Haters gonna hate.
Haters gonna hate. I was given more favor because I was very active. Like, I didn't care about my classmates. If we were asked a question, I would raise my hand like, me.
Yeah.
I was kind of like that. And when I finished school, modesty aside, I was...
Where did it go?
I graduated with... I was a salutatorian, like the second, top student.
Only second
of my batch.
Only second.
Only second, but not bad.
Yeah.
I did very well.
It's okay. I guess second top. It's okay.
What about you? What was school like?
I started off. So I went to the ordinary primary school, then moved to Christian school for a while, and at that Christian school, they also believed in caning, smacking and stuff. So as a little boy, it was the ruler on the hand, whack.
I wasn't...
For example, I didn't do my homework or something.
You got that experience.
Yeah, but it wasn't in ordinary public schools. That didn't happen at that time. But I had a little bit of that. Then I went to I did primary 2 and 3 there, and then I think 4 or 5 and a little bit of 6 maybe. And I got the cane when I was a little bit older, when I did bad things, which I had a tendency of getting into trouble. Even though I hadn't any real desire to do bad things necessarily, I had a tendency of just being so boisterous that I get into trouble. I remember breaking some glass stuff in a storeroom one day, and I just wanted to explore, and I fell on it and broke it, and I got the cane, and I deserved it, but I mean...
It wasn't really intentional.
It wasn't
on your part.
It wasn't like I was, let's break stuff. And then I moved back to an ordinary public school. I think it was tricky because of the move. My mom rightly felt that it was maybe better teachers there just at that time. And so it was a good decision, I think, but actually because there was a difference between what they'd been learning, not what they've been learning, but the time at which they've been learning. So I missed some stuff.
Right.
That I was behind a bit because there was a different time scale. Same syllabus,
right? Different
way to teach at different times. So I missed out a little bit, I think, and maybe got a bit picked on because I was like the new, different. If you're different,
new kid on the block.
If you're different, they will pick on you. They will focus on you.
Wow.
And,
I can imagine.
And then high school was good. I mean, I was overall medium level student. Not working very, very hard, but not lazy either.
I just want to get back to one thing you said. You were picked on, and how did you respond to those other kids?
So when I felt it was pretty bad, I how to fight.
Oh, okay.
I didn't really train. I should have trained.
So did you have a fist fight?
Fist fight. And then when I was pulled up by authorities, I was like, yeah, there's a lot of picking on. I feel like I'm the one. The only everybody's against me.
Yeah.
And
me against the world.
I think it wasn't really intentional. It was kind of just fashionable to have a little jab, a little joke, but they didn't mean like anything harsh.
Yeah.
But when you're 11, no, I was like 10. You don't really appreciate being jabbed at constantly.
Of course.
So but after that, I can say that my class was great. They understood that maybe it was a bit too much, and I had good times after that. And I think I studied better after that. For obvious reasons. So.
What about high school?
No, this is high school.
This is high
maybe
school.
a little bit in primary school picked on, but this was more high school. Sort of. The second, so first, second, third, fifth year of high school. So I guess it was second, third year that happened, and then afterwards things were much better.
I'm sorry, I forgot to mention earlier, I was also picked on primarily because of my eyes. They would often laugh at me and tell me, you look like an owl because of your huge eyes.
Okay. And I was thinking that, but I wasn't saying it.
And I would fight back. I remember there was this bully in our school. He was, of course, bigger than I was.
Yeah.
I don't want to say the word. Let's just say he was, big.
Okay.
And
anyone who wants to know what do you mean?
Well, I guess
okay.
They understand that. So
what does big mean? Should we ask a question? What does big mean? What are synonyms for big? We love to talk about synonyms, right?
Yeah, but never mind. Anyway, I don't want to say that one word. So he picked on me. He kept telling me you're an owl, and he kept making up names about my surname, like Amante, which I think I mentioned in our a couple of episodes ago. So eventually, at first, I was kind of intimidated because he was a bigger kid, and I just cried at first, and eventually I thought, okay, enough is enough. I need to have my revenge. And guess what? He was shocked when I punched him in the face.
Right, cool. But what would you recommend? Like, if a student, a pupil is getting bullied, what would you recommend? What would you do? Should we fight? Should they fight?
You know what? I think it's better to discuss it with authorities because if you fight back and it's gonna make
you're just gonna get in trouble.
It's gonna aggravate the situation.
Unless you can do it secretly enough.
I don't think violence is the key.
Again, I was standing in line. This was back in primary school. I think I was a better fighter when I was in primary school. When I was in the Christian school, there were a couple of guys who picked on me, and even once tied me up. 2 guys tied me up with a rope.
Oh my God!
They were a little bit older than me, and I was told to fight back. And
that's unfair.
And there was once they were like poking me when we were waiting in line. I just, I think you can imagine, right? The guy was behind me. I just lifted my leg, right? Whack in a soft place, And
I think I know the
it was kind of secretive and devious, I guess, and I really enjoyed that experience.
I'm happy for you. You got that.
I think the guy deserved it.
Of course.
I don't know. I don't want to say that it's great. It's good to do that kind of response, like violent response, but I think he deserved it, and it taught him a lesson. I didn't poke me too often afterwards, but
at least that's a good lesson for him.
What do you got for me, Ken?
Well, I've got another one here. Let's talk about subjects. What were your favorite subjects in school?
I can tell you that easily, and they're still my favorite subjects today.
What are they?
English. Surprise.
Of course. Surprise.
I loved English. I loved reading books in school. I loved studying about English. Not necessarily the grammar stuff. The grammar's okay, but learning about we did a little bit of Shakespeare and stuff. But the teacher was quite modern about it.
Wow.
And we watched the film and stuff. It's very interesting. And he explained it all, and it was great. I loved science.
Science.
And
science. I love science too.
All three. I actually chose to do what was called double award science, which meant that I had double the amount of work to do purely on science. And I got like two, what we call GCSEs on science, double award science.
Wow.
And it was chemistry, biology, and physics that we had. And I can't say that I prefer one, but I like them all. I just like learning about science.
Anything about science,
right? Study of life and, how things work and the universe and stuff. It's very interesting. And the third one was art. And I still like art.
That's interesting.
Yeah. And now I'm doing English professionally. I worked with a science type stuff. My degree is civil engineering. I haven't done art yet, but we're going to do some
in
modeling.
Your free time.
We're going to do some modeling in Big Apple School.
Oh, that's good.
Building tanks and things. So it's kind of
you can use your artistic
in my profession, but not exactly as a profession.
Oh, wow.
And what about you? Favorite subject?
As for me, of course, English, obviously. What else? History, to be exact, world history. And general science. And then you have biology, only biology, because, I'm going to discuss later on those other science subjects that are not too favorable for me. Trigonometry, algebra.
Yeah,
I love them so much because my teacher, my teachers for those subjects, they explain very well.
Trigonometry is like Marmite.
It's like what?
There is this kind of a paste, or it's almost like, do you know Nutella? Chocolate spread.
Of course.
Marmite looks like Nutella, but I don't know exactly what they put in it, but it's very salty paste.
Yeah.
And it's not sweet. And it's a thing that they say you either love it or hate it. And that's trigonometry. Yeah. You either love it or hate it. Yeah.
I loved it.
Yeah?
Yeah. Most definitely. Now, what about the opposite ones?
I can't say that I hated too many subjects. I did have a problem with maths, trigonometry.
Really?
Yeah. And it really come down to the teachers, unfortunately, with maths. I could have done quite well in maths. Again, I think changing school didn't help me because I was kind of in the middle of learning my times tables. And I was a bit lazy. I didn't enjoy that, maybe my own fault. And I never really got to grips with them. So even today, I'm not great at counting in my head and doing times tables and stuff.
Right.
But I'm better than what I was. But I had, particularly when I was 14, 15, 16, I had a bad maths teacher. And I mean a bad, very, very smart, knew maths very well, worked professionally in design, cars, I believe. And so very, very good with maths, but hadn't got the ability to explain it.
That's a problem. It's one thing to know your subject matter, and it's another thing to explain it as, as clearly as possible. So I got you.
Yeah. So it was, it wasn't the subject per se, because I did pure maths in university, also hated it, because it really kind of reminded me of school. But when I did calculation for practical use to work out how much should be put on a bridge and things like that, I enjoyed it. I enjoyed the experience. Like, you get to an exact figure at the end, and there's a pureness to it, and I enjoyed just the search for the truth, kind of, I guess, in a sense. And you're working it out, and you need to go back and change something because you missed it the first time. And I enjoy that, actually. So it's not that I hate maths per se, but I think it was made to be too difficult for me.
And that's why you didn't really appreciate it. Any other subjects that you didn't necessarily like?
So at the end, when we went to senior high school, we had the choice. We could choose between history and history and geography. And I chose geography because I enjoyed it more in junior high school, although I also enjoyed history there. And so it was kind of a tough decision for me, geography or history. And in the end, I didn't enjoy it as much in senior high school, but I still enjoyed it and did fairly well, I think, in geography, if I remember correctly.
Well, as for me, when it comes to my least favorite subjects, I really hated chemistry and physics. Chemistry because it was too difficult to understand. The other thing was, well, just like you, I don't think our teacher did a good job at explaining things. The other thing was he had favorites.
Yeah.
And I remember I was asked, about the definition of temperature. And then I raised my hand. I was so eager to answer. Yeah, so anyone here who can give me the, definition of temperature? And I said, me. Temperature is the degree of hotness and coldness. Do you know how, he reacted? He said, can somebody give me, not an elementary definition, but a higher level definition of chemistry? I was disheartened, and I thought, okay, so it wasn't, good enough for him.
That's a good definition. Why do you need to make it complicated?
I don't know about him. Anyway, because of that, I thought, okay, I'm just gonna shut my mouth. And anyway, the subject itself is complicated. And the other one, as I've already mentioned, is physics. I'm not good at, if we talk about technical sciences, that's not my thing.
Yeah.
So I know it's not a good thing to cheat, but I remember before we had a test, and I had to remember some formula, and I couldn't remember it. Something to do with, of course, physics. So I tried to cheat, but I was caught. And that just added to my hatred towards the subject. And
it's bad experience.
Until now, yeah.
Do you think neither of them were taught well, or were they just too hard anyway?
I think
just not for you.
They're just too hard. Plus the fact that I didn't really like my, teachers.
Okay. I never mentioned French, and it's not that I didn't like French, but it wasn't that I had anything against French teachers per se. Although my first French teacher was actually notorious.
Oh, really?
We heard about how angry she got even before we got to her class, and we were like, and because of that, I was like, right. So I'm not going to learn French. I think I kind of already decided not to bother. Because if she's really as bad as I'm told, I'm just not going to learn for her. That was my little Sam's mind. It was like, I'm not going to learn for her. And she was, she got actually really borderline violent in the classroom.
Oh my God.
Yeah, she would throw a chair, not to hit anyone, but she would throw a chair.
That sounds scary.
If there were rules that she could have hit students, I think it would have been quite dangerous to be in her class. Yeah.
I'm sure she would have done that.
Because of that, my French suffered a lot. But I had a really good French teacher afterwards. Really good guy. And it meant that I did much better than I could have.
So, as you've mentioned, teacher factor, I think that plays a big role in, in a student's life and the way he or she performs, at school.
It's really important.
And speaking of which, did you have any favorite teachers?
Yeah, I did. I really liked my English teacher in senior high school.
What subject?
The English literature.
I'm sorry.
Language literature.
Okay.
I didn't.
I wasn't paying attention.
Ken, you need more coffee.
Yeah, I think so. Go ahead.
I really like my English teacher who taught English. He wasn't from England. He taught English. He was. I don't know how old he was. Maybe he was about my age now.
Really?
He was quite young, but not super young. But we kind of looked up to him, at least I did. And he made it very relevant, very modern. And we could understand him. We could connect with him. And he explained a lot to us. He was fun, but not to the point where we weren't learning or anything. Right. But he kept it interesting. The history teacher that I had in junior high school was also really good. The history of Northern Ireland, the UK, is, I don't know, strange, especially Northern Ireland maybe. It's strange, difficult, even very sad and serious at times. And but he managed to make it really interesting. Like you could really enjoy his lessons.
I envy
The
you.
language he used, not like bad language, I don't mean that, but the language he used, the words he used to try and explain stuff, kept it really interesting. Like very, I don't know, how would I say, emotive maybe language, or just creative language,
Right.
and how he explained history, and it was, kept it interesting and relevant for young kids.
I wish I had a
ourselves.
history teacher like that, because I do love history, but well, the teacher wasn't that good.
Not so exciting.
Yeah.
But you loved it despite the teacher. I
Yeah,
guess.
exactly. And I have to say, just like you, I also appreciated my English teachers. In fact, all of them in primary school. I still remember her name. She's Grace Mercado. And then high school, that was Claribel Antonio. It's not just about them, teaching the language per se, or English, but it's the way they carried themselves. They were always prepared, well-mannered. They knew how to keep the attention of the students. At the same time, they explained terms in a very easy way.
Yeah.
And one thing I liked about them was they were very organized. So the things that I'm saying now, it's not very specific
As
to
a very organized guy yourself, actually.
Well, thank you.
But is that a compliment? I guess it is. Yeah, it is. It is for sure.
So it's not. I'm not talking about the subject per se, but in general. The reasons why I appreciated them, it's because of the way they they handled the class, and overall they were just very professional, but still relatable, very approachable. So whenever we had some problems or things that we didn't understand clearly, we could just approach them and they explained everything to us.
Great.
Yeah.
Great.
Now, Sam, so do you have any advice to all the students out there who are listening to us?
Honestly, I know it sounds, they'll all go, oh. But honestly, if you want to learn, do your homework.
Do your homework.
Do your homework. Honestly, you know why? Because I'm sure it's the same for many teachers, but I don't give homework just to let's make
for the sake of
life
giving,
right?
Yeah.
What I try to do for homework, if I can, is give homework that's going to repeat what we've learned and help the student to remember what we've learned, to go over it again so that it sticks better in their memory.
It's like a supplementary exercise, yeah?
And to show them if there are any problems, like maybe they don't understand what we taught in class, what we learned in class. Yeah. So it's there as a benefit, like it's kind of like an extra lesson, or it should be. Ideally, I recommend it's not done straight after the class.
Yeah.
But that you have a little bit of a break.
Right.
Because you want to be able to jog your memory a little bit, right? So that it sticks better in your memory. Because when you have to recall, when you have to bring it back into your head, that actually that action makes it stick there a little bit more.
I absolutely agree with that.
Yeah.
Well,
of course you do.
Of course, I'm a teacher myself.
I'd be shocked if you were like,
so students, don't do your homework. It's a trick.
No. As for me though, for all the students out there who are listening to us, don't let grades or your marks define you. I have to say this because...
Unless they're really good.
Well, because when I was a student myself, I was so grade conscious. I was very particular with my grades, with my marks. I always wanted to be the top student to the point that I didn't enjoy it. So I wish I had given myself more time to just enjoy
savor
things.
the moment.
Exactly. And the thing here is that you should also try to make out of, your experience. Don't forget that you're still a human being after all. Of course, I'm not saying that you don't have to be responsible. You still have to. It's, part of life as a student, but just make sure there is a balance, like as we say in adult, terms, work-life balance, but in their case, like study
and life balance.
Exactly. Yeah. So just don't forget you're still human beings. So I guess that's about it.
Shall we outro this thing?
Yes, go ahead.
So what should we say? What have we talked about? We talked about what school looks like, feels like in our countries.
Right.
What it was for us, what kind of pupils we were, who and what we liked in school, and a little bit of advice about what we think is good.
Exactly.
To do. So there you go. That was
What's the Crack
About
School.